All right, so today was a mixed day overall, but I think the way I'm feeling right now is overall positive, despite some hiccups here and there. I think I made some decisions today that I feel are going to be pivotal towards my future. So let's start with them. There's primarily two to three, but a lot of realizations as well. So this is going to definitely be a bit of a more variety type of talk. So let's start with the morning. I woke up, actually, I had a dream related to friends in Japan and stuff like that. And I just woke up feeling like I really want to go back there. And in a more, like, not longing, not like wishing, but I think I'm gonna take some steps and really try to get there, like get back there sooner than later. My experience was just too good to ignore, you know. I can't just keep living like this in the same way. I have seen and felt and lived what it's like to feel better, to live a life that feels as good as it was there. And I think I will try my best to go for it. And that's a very important decision, I feel, because previous to this day, it was sort of like, maybe I should do it, maybe not. Like maybe there's like things that I need to do here, all that stuff. There are certainly things I need to do here, but it just means I got to do it faster. And to just decide on that goal of wanting to do it and making it concrete, because I want to do it next year. I want to be there again for longer term next year. And it's July right now, so I have half a year to make stuff happen. Because I do want to go there as a better self than I was this year, like a much better self. So that is a decision, you know. It's just like deciding, and from there acting on that decision, that feeling. And it feels like it's breathed some new life into me, like a flame that was starting to dwindle, starting to dim, and now it's rekindling. And it was interesting because that morning I also got a message from a friend in Japan. I was a friend in Japan that I keep up with, and we were trying to schedule a call just to catch up. And that morning I actually woke up and felt really bad because the previous night I ate dinner with some friends, and it was kind of a very unhealthy dinner. So I just woke up and ran. I was like, I need to run. Like I have to run. My body's telling me that it just needs this. So I woke up and ran. My knee is feeling better now, which is really good. And it was pretty early, like 6 a.m. ish. And that's a great time to run. Probably the only time that feels comfortable actually right now, since it's the middle of summer. But I messaged my friend back saying that, yeah, I could talk. So that's what I did in the morning. We had a good conversation, just catching up. And I felt very happy. It's like remembering some good times from Japan and hearing from her to see how she was doing in the share house and everything. Because there's a share house that I frequently visited that I really just enjoyed that share house overall and made some good friends there. So it's good to just hear from a friend that made the experience more fun. So to me, that was very revitalizing. And afterwards, that's part of the conversation as well. I felt like recently there was a moment in Japan I remember where I was like super tired that day. And I was also just like, I ended up borrowing my girlfriend's Switch, even though I didn't want to. And I was playing games, and I just realized like when I get into that state, like I mentioned before, I don't really think too much. And I ended up downloading this game that I used to play a long time ago. And I occasionally have been playing, like, I think the last time before I downloaded it in Japan, it was like a good 6 months, I'd say, for the last time I played it. It's called, it's like Fire Emblem Heroes. I am a big fan of Fire Emblem. I played it since I was a kid. So Blazing Sword, the one with Eliwood, Lyn, and Hector, in case you happen to know what it is. I played that game so many times. I remember having a Game Boy that could not save, or the memory card could not save. And I had a version of that game, and I just played it through in one sitting because it could not save. That's how dedicated I was to that game, or how influenced I was. And I also at some point played that game on an emulator and would always like reset the game if the stats didn't increase correctly or increase by much. Let's just say I spent a lot of time as a kid with that game, and even more so as an adult with the franchise because of the mobile game, Fire Emblem Heroes. I quit that game a while back though. I think it came out, I can't remember exactly when it came out, but it came out a while back. And I played it for a good maybe 2 years or something before I just quit completely. And then when I quit completely, I didn't play it for a good year. And then I just had a day where I got curious to the state of the game, I guess. So I decided to go back on it. And it's really, really hard to stop once you get going. Like gacha games are very addictive, basically. And I have actually spent some money on it at some point. It was, I think, around $50, way too much, I'd say. But either way, let's just say this game sort of, for me, defines a really, really bad part of me. It is the me that has given in to the dopamine, has given in to that primal sense of like wanting to not really play a game because it's not, you don't really play it too much. There are some fun modes in it, I guess, but overall it's like a game where you just collect orbs and use it to get characters. And for me, a lot of that getting process, since it is a gacha game, it's luck based. So it's like a percentage chance that you get the character that you want. So in a way, it is gambling. And like I said, that is me giving in to my worst primal instincts, basically. And so ever since that moment in Japan where I re-downloaded it, I instantly deleted it again afterwards. But then when I got back home, I fell into a state where, I started binging a lot of anime and all that stuff, and I wasn't being productive. So when I get into that state, it's like my brain just goes to like, oh, what are the things that comfort me? What are the things that make me feel good sometimes? And that my brain goes to that. So I re-downloaded it and I've been playing it maybe like an average of 2 to 3 times a week since, even though I try to avoid it as much as possible. And I tell myself that, yeah, we should stop doing this. But even though I have that thought, I still don't stop. And I think it's a reason why I have been less productive and less lucid. Yet I just keep telling myself like, okay, we're just going to stop. It'll happen. It'll just happen. But also, on the weekends, we get to chill out. And a part of my brain is like, yeah, we get to chill out and download that game and play it. Because every time after I download it, I ended up deleting it because, it makes it just a little bit harder to access and not look at. So it does help. But in the end, I just re-download it. So what I decided today and what I'm going to do is end this once and for all. And this is the second really big decision that I think will help. Because this is the only game, if you even want to call it a game, because in my opinion, mobile games are the scourge of this earth. They are literally created, in my opinion, primarily to get you addicted, and they don't have that much value in my opinion. Like, this is just my experience from my life with this game, especially. I think it doesn't do anyone any favors. Like, you can always argue for whatever vice there is, whatever bad thing there is in your life, that it makes you feel good or that it makes you happy. But I think for me, if I were to look at this objectively for me, for my life, I would say it's overall a net negative thing. So deciding to get rid of it once and for all is a really big thing. And the way I'm going to do this is by effectively just getting rid of the account. Like, the only reason why I am continuing with it is because I can sign into my account again and I have all the characters that I've gotten before and all that stuff. And if I can just get rid of the account completely, then I'm done. Like, there's no going back, because I'm not going to want to start from zero. I'm not going to want to play this game at all if everything that I collected over the past, I have no idea how long. There are periods where I didn't play it. But I've spent so many hours on this game, like, no doubt, over probably, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I wish I had a stat, but if I were to guess, like, over 300-400 hours, possibly. Because let me just look this up. Okay, so it came out 2017, and I for sure played it for around 2 years, probably around 3 years. So I probably sunk 1,000 hours into this thing. You know how everyone says you spend 10,000 hours on like a skill and like you're gonna become a pro at it? So I'm a 10th of a pro at playing this game, basically. And honestly, I'm not proud of that, because it's a completely useless thing to be a pro at. And I could have spent that 1,000 hours on something else and probably not have been a pro, but at least have been like pretty good at whatever skill that is. So yeah, I'm definitely lowballing the numbers just to, make myself feel better, but it possibly could have been even more time spent on this thing that has offered me nothing but some short bursts of fun dopamine, I guess. And in the end, at the end of the day, to me, that it means nothing. Like, I much rather have the joy of like having spent that time elsewhere, memories with friends, skills that I could have acquired that I enjoy, furthering skills that I already have, so many things. And I think it's time that I end this, and the fact that it's taking time away from me. So I think by the end of the week, the account will be gone for good. I can declare when that is for the recording, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. Not because I don't want to do it immediately, but I do sort of want to find someone who can inherit the account, who will never give it back to me, basically. That way, it sort of feels like those hours were spent for something, because someone else who perhaps values it more will, have it. But if that doesn't happen in a timely manner, then deletion is always an option as well. I think that's one thing that I've been sort of realizing is like, these things that are, technically they're part of your environment, because my phone has access to these things, and it's just always going to be there in the back of my head. It's been taking up mental space. It's like, oh, I think of strategies for new characters that come out, just watch content related to the thing. It takes up brain space. It really does. And I've been thinking about that with like the stuff that I watch on YouTube as well. Like the tech stuff, all that unnecessary stuff that I don't really need, Like a part of me enjoys that type of content a bit, but I'm starting to feel like I don't need it as much. And I think it's important to shape my environment in the way that I want to live my life. So there was another video I watched today. It was sort of like self-improvement stuff, and I was really into that after graduating college. And I remember, reading a lot of those books, listening to those audiobooks, watching a lot of content related to it, and feeling good and motivated and wanting to do stuff. And I'm remembering that feeling, and it feels like I haven't had it as much in a good while. It was because I wanted to pave my own path and wanted to like sort of adapt my own, like grow into my own principles, grow into my own values, and not like adapt all of it from stuff I consume, And I do think I've done that for sure. Like I reflected and really dug deep into the things that I value. But at the same time, I think that content can be helpful in just encouraging you and pushing you towards the right direction. Even if it's stuff that's repetitive, it's still stuff that it's like a cheerleader or like a mentor or motivational speaker constantly telling you can do it. Like you got this. It's like priming your mind and your body and your state of being into just more positivity, more like feeling like you can do things and wanting to do things. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's not about the content itself. It's about how it affects you. It's about the consequences that follows from the content. Obviously, you shouldn't spend too much time on it. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. But a little bit of it consistently, I think can have a positive effect. And I think that's something I have been realizing lately. I think it's something that I didn't realize before when I completely dropped it, that type of content, that I started to realize again after consuming that type of content. It's like, wow, I feel like more motivated now. Like I want to do stuff. And it's just because I watched somebody talk about it and talk about perhaps some things I didn't know, their own experiences, their advice, all that stuff. It is helpful. And I think that to think otherwise, to neglect it, to ignore it because I want to live in a bubble, my own bubble of like me figuring things out on my own, I think that's ignorant. And I'm starting to shed that bubble and think about this whole thing holistically. Like if I want to shape my environment, I get rid of the bad stuff, which is the game, and then replace it with stuff that makes me feel like I want to do and become the person I want to be. Because facing the truth, it's like these days I've been feeling lost. And whenever I listen to that content or just watch the self-improvement content, I feel like I start to grow a sense of direction. Like it feels more concrete. And with that, like I start to act. And I think that's enough, because I'm not going to do exactly what all these videos tell me to do, but I'm going to do some of it. I'm going to do the things that I feel is right with me, that they say is right, that they say is like good to do. Like for instance, one of the pieces of advice is like, you're an asset. You want to grow your skills. You want to do as much as possible to learn more and become more capable by just learning different skills that are useful. And I cannot argue against that. I don't think anyone can argue against that. The more you can do, the more skilled you are at a variety of skills, the more you can do. So, and the more, I guess, value you have as a person, like the more you can be valuable to other people and help them and help yourself. And yeah, there's just I don't understand why it makes such a huge difference, to just consume that content and feel the difference. So that's something, like I said, three very important decisions. One, to pave my way back to Japan, to really be the best self I can be before I get there, and to do the things I need to do here. Number two is to get rid of the final thing that's just barricading me, like the obstacle, It's not even an obstacle, it's more like a chain, like a ball with a chain. And it's really annoying sometimes and slowing me down. Like, I've been very fortunate that I'm not addicted to social media. I mean, I can watch a lot of YouTube videos occasionally, and like I said, binge anime and media. But for the most part, I'm pretty good about maintaining self-discipline. It's been something I've worked on for a while, but it really helps when I have the right motivation, which is, decision number one. And then decision number three as well, just surrounding myself with the right environment and starting to, consume content that lifts me up, pushes me further, increases my skills, pushes me to do the things I want to do. It's like motivates me and makes me feel right. So those are the three big decisions, and I think it's gonna help a lot with lucidity overall and just living a better life. But again, realizing these things doesn't mean I'll fully implement it. So that was yesterday's discussion, and I gotta really gotta try. And just as a fun add-on, I managed to get rid of some pillows that my mom didn't want by selling them. I actually didn't sell them. I ended up giving them away for free because the first time the person tried to pick it up, I didn't pay attention to my phone. So they kind of I kind of missed it. And I felt really bad. So I was like, okay, I'll just give it to you for free if you want to do it again. They tried to give me the money actually, but I was like, no, it's good. Like I want to keep my word about it. But I have been feeling good these days about just overall getting rid of stuff that isn't being used, or basically that, just stuff that isn't being used. So it just makes it better, less cluttered overall. All right, that's it for this one. It's a big one. I think so far out of all the discussions, this one might be one of the most important ones because it's concrete stuff that I'm going to do that will affect what I'm going to do in the future as well. It's not just me reflecting, it's me making decisions and making very, very important decisions. Very important decisions that I think will shape the rest of my life. So yeah, if anyone's listening to this, best of luck. Like, I think these moments are just crossroads, right? And we just got to choose the path that we feel is the best way to get to where we want to be. And I feel like I've chosen the right path, finally, after taking a lot of wrong turns.